Why is it muted? Hello? Hello? I think that worked.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Hello? Hello?
Still no sound. Still
Hello?
no sound. Can you hear us now? It was muted. Okay.
Hello?
There we go.
Okay, there we are. Okay.
What's going on, guys?
Hi.
It's Wednesday. Murder She Ate.
So what did we just say? It's been a while.
Only we missed a week, I think.
Yeah, we missed a week, but it feels like a lot longer because prepping a case is like a day thing. Like I'm like
3 hours at
thinking
least.
about it mentally. Even if it's like an hour prep, like I'm just like, this is the day of Murder She Ate, so it's like a lot. But like last Wednesday we didn't have it.
What are you guys having for dinner?
Yes.
What are you guys up to tonight?
Tell us what's going on.
So, and if you guys are new, this is the one thing we do per week. It's not really keto. All we do is we eat keto. Today I want to talk about one thing that's a little keto related though.
Sure.
But we just talk about crime, murder, mayhem, rapes, crazy stuff, okay? Bad words. We don't really say bad words, but a lot of gross stuff.
Yeah, a lot of things maybe not children appropriate if you usually like watch us with your kids.
A lot of people having fathead pizza.
Cauliflower mac and cheese, someone made it. Yum.
Dried Wagyu beef.
That sounds amazing.
Baller over there.
Chicken. Oh, you said that. Pita pocket pizza.
Oh, and someone requested ketonement. Actually, the person who made these shirts requested a case. We're gonna get to it next week. We got two good ones.
Yeah, we already have them picked out, so we will do that next week.
So talk about what you're eating, because I got some intense stuff over here.
So Julius is sad.
Come on.
So I made this chili actually on Instagram stories this morning. So if you saw, this is the meal I made this morning at like 8 a.m. It's just quick Instant Pot chili. You can make chili in like 10 minutes. So it's a bunch of veggies. It's carrots, it's celery, it's onions, it's tomato. And then I used ground turkey because that's what I was feeling this week. And it's 85% fat ground turkey. And then like some broth. And I like to top mine with some sour cream. So that's what I'm having for dinner. It's a pretty big bowl too. Like it's a lot of chili. And I have belly grumbling after.
Is that all? You can have like any snacks or desserts?
Yeah, probably, but like this is like really filling usually because it's like also liquid, but that's what I'm eating.
I have salmon. It's like basically raw because we got back from the gym late because I was balling out. I got a good run in at the gym today.
Yeah.
And so this is maybe it's like 12 ounces of salmon.
Smoked?
I smoked it on the grill outside, but only for like maybe 45 minutes at 180 degrees, so it's pretty raw. And then the bone marrow, I did the same. So this is 2 like stalks of bone marrow.
And you're gonna pull the marrow out with the knife. It's probably pretty raw in there.
Yeah, so all this stuff's kind of rare. And then here, I have coconut milk kefir. And this is something we used to always, did he lick it?
No, I got close.
We used to always order this from like a local farm place, but Whole Foods recently started carrying it.
Yeah.
It might just be regional though.
That's true.
And then this looks very intense.
Homemade kombucha.
I haven't tried it yet. I'm gonna try it now for the first time.
After he bottled it yesterday, he added some frozen blueberries.
Look at that big piece of the mother just hanging there.
Just hanging on the blueberry. Can you guys see it? I don't know if they could see it. Show them.
They probably can't see it.
The hanging mother.
So I don't know, like I'm nervous because I don't know if it's good or like just like it'll kill me. Who knows?
No. Okay, so that's what we're eating. And we have I have a disappearance and Matt has a heist.
There's paint on this knife.
Yeah. So not really murder she ate, but like more like
crimes. Well, always murder. Sometimes it's crimes, mysteries, stuff like that.
Daddy Warbucks, thank you so much for the $5 donation. And
where I get this bone marrow at is Whole Foods. They have a little freezer.
Someone said, yeah, mine was gross.
My what?
Kombucha, I'm assuming.
Homemade?
Yeah.
So what I wanted to talk about just briefly is, I don't know if you guys heard about this, but there's all the New York City public schools next year, or like, I don't know if it's next year. I think it's next year. They're having meatless Mondays now, which I think it's good and bad. I think it's more bad than it is good.
Well, it could be good depending on the options they're giving.
So at least there's some thought being put into the foods, right? Because I know when we went to school lunch, it was just like bread it, fry it, feed it to the kids.
Yeah.
So
Fish sticks.
Yeah. And, you know, a lot of parents just give their kids money and they're like, buy your lunch at school. And there's not a lot of good options at school. So some thought is being put into it at least, which is cool, but it's very misplaced and it's, you know, Meatless Monday. So, I don't know. I feel like it's more bad than good because when I was listening to the news conferences, the mayor and stuff, he was like talking about all the health benefits of meatlessness, you know, like no cancer, etc. And I don't know. It seems like we're just going down kind of a bad path.
Well, also we were talking about the options, right? So like,
yeah,
is it grilled cheese?
It's grilled cheese. It's not like veggies.
Because they're probably going cheap, right? They don't want
they
to
say it's cost neutral, so they're not saving money by going meatless. I think it's also a lie.
It has to be a lie. But yeah, if you're doing grilled cheese, that's not a better alternative. Like, I don't really know what you're doing at that point. It seems more just like someone's personal want being like put on other people without like their consent, you know? It's like, I don't know who's implementing this, but it's like that person maybe has like is a vegan.
It's an environmental initiative.
Okay. So
that is also like, not to get really political, but at some point your dietary decisions are going to become politicized. So like a lot of rights in the next like 5 to 10 years, it seems like are going to be taken away in the name of environmentalism. Like, you know, obviously like you can't buy raw milk in the US anymore. That was taken away. Not necessarily in the name of environmentalism.
You can't buy it anywhere?
In some states
in California
you can. In California you can.
We were just there.
That's in the name of like health and safety.
Yeah.
But in the name of environmentalism, a lot is going to be taken away. It's going to be a battle for the next few years here. Is the picture blurry? I don't know. We're using a webcam, so it may be a little more blurry than is typical. Boulder, Colorado tried this at schools. It makes adults feel better, but kids can't stand it. So the good thing, though, is I'm pretty sure you can still pack your kids' lunch and have them have meat in it. But
oh, okay. That's fantastic then.
Yeah.
I mean, but if parents are loving it and the kids hate it, then the parents will probably just like pack them meatless entrees too on like Mondays.
Maybe, yeah.
That would make sense. Congrats on the baby. Thank you. I'm doing the 7-day bacon diet. I would love to hear from you about it.
The 7-day bacon diet?
That's
What's
not
that?
a thing. That's not.
What is a 7-day bacon diet?
I'm assuming just bacon for 7 days straight. I mean, there's definitely other foods I would say like that are better choices if you're gonna do just like one food for 7 days straight than bacon. But I don't have personal opinions on that. I didn't hear about that until you just told me you're doing it.
Have you guys ever had bone marrow? It's kind of gross looking.
It tastes really good when it's like cooked and like fully cooked and at a restaurant. It's like delicious. We've gotten bone marrow butter, which is really good.
You didn't like it, I thought.
I didn't love it, but like it was really good considering like that to me is not appetizing.
Does vegetable oil count on keto? I don't know what count means, but it's not good for you. Vegetable oil is bad for you.
Does it count?
Try to avoid it if at all possible. There's some places like when you're eating out, you can't really avoid it because it's in everything.
People are like, I can't watch you eat that. What is that?
This is bone marrow.
It's bone marrow, but it's almost raw.
It is pretty gross. It's not really raw, I don't think. I might warm it up a little. I do like the theory that a lot of our evolution was through scavenging for like the hard to get things that the other predators would leave behind, like bone marrow and brains. Should you start? You want to start cases?
Oh yeah, it's 5:37. I thought we were waiting. Someone's having steak and steamed broccoli. What's the kombucha recipe?
I don't really have one. Like
we just bought the mother.
You buy the mother, which is the culture, the bacteria culture, online. I got it on Amazon. It was like $10. And then you brew tea. You add what I did. You have to add some kind of sugar. So I added raw honey, and you let it ferment for like 5 to 7 days while the culture eats the sugar and ferments. And then hopefully you don't die when you eat it, I guess, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, this is really gross looking. Are you gonna start?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it started. Do you want me to wait for you?
Go ahead. Yeah, wait for me.
Someone's having pork steaks. Yuck, it's hard to watch Matt do that. Yeah. But I think when it's warmed up, it'll look like more brown and cooked through. Do vegetable carbs count on keto? I think that's what you meant instead of oils. I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, we track everything. So yes, it's a food that we eat that our body has to digest, so it counts. I think the alternative, or like the reason why people say, you know, don't track your veggies, is so because eating more veggies can be a good thing. And
yeah, they're just trying to get you to eat more veggies.
yeah, to change from the standard American diet where a lot of people aren't eating veggies, but they count. Everything really counts in life, right? No, it doesn't look better. Kind of looks worse.
It tastes really good though. It's one of like the best naturally tasting foods.
Everyone just like look away while he's eating it, but keep listening. Okay, I'm gonna get started. Okay, so I'm doing the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse. Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay.
I've probably heard of it. I don't know. It seems like a pretty popular one, right?
Yeah, I think it is really popular. I hadn't heard of it though.
No, kombucha is not a mushroom. It's a fermented tea.
Okay. Sorry, one sec. I'm just gonna sip.
How's your chili?
It's really good. Okay. Okay, the disappearance of Jennifer Kesse. So Jennifer Kesse was 24 years old when she went missing from Orlando, Florida on January 24th, 2006. Okay. The weekend before she went missing, she was on vacation with her boyfriend in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. Her boyfriend, Rob, he lived in Fort Lauderdale, which is like 200 miles away from Orlando. So they were in a long distance relationship for their entire relationship. But they didn't have any issues.
Not too far though, right? And he's in Florida too?
Yeah.
Okay. So they probably saw each other all the time.
They saw each other like when they could get away on weekends and stuff, yeah. But it wasn't as much as they would like, right? But like no real issues that they had ongoing at the time or like really in the past. And interestingly enough, he still keeps in contact with her family today.
A lot of killers would do that though. So I assume he's one of the suspects, right?
Or maybe he like really loved her and he's struggling to move on. So the parents have like expressed concern like, hey, you gotta move on, things like that. But you know, that's just something to note. So Jennifer worked in finance and at the time had recently bought a new condo. So she was doing well for herself. No real reason to like go disappearing on her own. Things in with her family were really good. She was really close to them. And then while on vacation, she let her little brother Logan and his friend, what's his name? I don't remember. But his friend stay in her condo over the weekend. So yeah, so they stayed there. They were really close, so not a big deal at all. And then on the morning of the 23rd, one day before she went missing, she drove straight from Rob's place in Fort Lauderdale to work that morning. Okay. So they got back from the trip, but they were at Rob's, and then she drove to work. So she had to have left around 5 or 6 a.m. to get to work by 8 a.m. And the first place she went to that day was work. So she didn't return home at all until later in that evening at 6 p.m.
She drove straight through the night and showed up at work.
No, 5 or 6 a.m.
Oh, she woke up at 5 or 6 a.m.?
Yeah, she left.
Okay.
And she was able to get to work by 8. So then the next time she was actually going home and went home was after work at 6 p.m. And that was the last time she was physically seen alive. So her colleagues
Who was she seen by? So she was seen at work?
Yeah, she was at work all
sighting
day.
at work. Okay.
Yeah. So that night when she got home on the 23rd, normal night, she called her family. They were very close. They spoke like every day. And she even spoke to Logan, her brother, and he had mentioned that he left his phone at her place and asked if she could overnight it. And she was like, sure, I'll overnight it tomorrow, but not tonight because I'm in for the night.
So she was making calls that night at home?
Yeah,
okay.
She was. She was totally fine. And she also spoke to Rob, her boyfriend, that night. And it's supposed that they had a little fight over the phone about their long distance aspect of the relationship, but like nothing really to note. It was just a call that they had. They spoke every night, and this was around 10 p.m. Then the same night, around 10:40 p.m., her phone was apparently turned off, which was weird because she, along with most people, use their phones for their alarm. And she was also known to be very cautious. Like, so for example, she didn't leave that night to overnight the phone because, you know, she was in for the night. She didn't like go out on her own. She was just like, she was pretty safe about things. Okay. And then some sources have even like mentioned that her brother's friend's phone that was left at her house was also turned off at the same time. And both of the batteries were removed from the phones. But then another source says that it could have just been that her brother's friend's phone died over the weekend because he left it there. So nothing really tells us exactly what happened, but we can be pretty sure that at 10:40 p.m., her phone was indeed off.
So something happened there.
Yeah, we're thinking that, yeah. So the next morning at work, she had a really big meeting, but when she didn't turn up, her colleagues were very, very worried. Because she was always really invested in her work. She cared a lot. This was big for her. So once it hit like a certain time, I think it was like 11 a.m. and she hadn't shown up and they hadn't heard from her. They contacted her emergency contacts, which were her parents. And they hadn't heard from her either, except that phone call the night prior. So the parents contact the building manager and ask him to go check in on her. But when he lets himself into her apartment, he sees no signs of Jennifer, and he also does mention that her car was gone.
Car's gone. Is there any bags packed, or like seems like she packed?
So we will get to that in a second. So both the parents and Logan, so her parents and her younger brother, head down to the condo, and when Logan arrives, he notices some construction workers sitting outside in their van. So he approaches them to ask if they had seen her, and they just refuse to speak to him. They don't even roll down the window, make eye contact. They just completely ignore him.
This is her brother?
Yeah.
So that's weird, right?
About the construction workers?
Yeah, why would they do that?
Yeah, why wouldn't they just like roll down the window and like see what this guy wants? And then when the...
Maybe they're like foreign though and they don't speak the language? That
yeah, so they were foreign.
Okay.
And we will also get to that. So when the parents arrived at the condo, they noticed that the shower was wet along with her towel, as if she had showered, she had gotten ready for work, and she even had like some clothes laid out on her bed, as if she was like picking and choosing from 2 pairs to wear. So
what time is this?
This was the 24th afternoon.
And her towel's wet?
Yeah.
So she took a shower that morning?
No, our towels, when they're hanging, they don't like dry completely.
Not overnight though.
No, it was the same day. So at 11 a.m., the colleagues realized she wasn't coming into work, so they called her parents.
Yeah.
So that morning, she could have taken a shower.
That morning she did take a shower?
Yeah.
So she didn't disappear at 10:40 the previous night. She was home in the morning.
Right. Now that's what we're assuming.
Okay.
So...
got to put together a timeline.
So,
I'm going to try this kombucha.
So the shower was wet, the towel was wet, and the clothes were laid out, like I said. And her phone, car keys, briefcase, and the brother's friend's phone were all missing from the house. So it actually did indeed look like a normal day. She showered, she got ready, she went to work, she took the brother's phone because she was going to drop that off, right? Totally normal day. Are you here with me?
Yeah, I'm just nervous about that part in the kombucha.
Did it go in?
Yeah.
Just drink around it.
Okay. Yeah, so the phone's gone.
Are you going to try it?
Yeah. Tastes pretty good. It's not really carbonated though.
Is kombucha normally
Try
carbonated?
it.
Oh, that is really good. The blueberries really make it good.
It's okay.
I like
I'll
that.
drink it.
But yeah, the carbonation would be better. Anyway, sorry. Back to the story. Sorry, guys. So it indeed looked like a normal day. The normal work things were missing. She showered. We're assuming this. So the parents contacted the police at this point, but they didn't do anything because she's an adult. She was 24, like I mentioned. And if she wanted to go missing, like she can. Like she can just up and leave, right? So the family started handing out flyers that same evening. It's still the 24th, around 5 p.m. And then the police actually were like starting to take action. They were realizing like, okay, maybe something's going on. And all that time, like they hadn't stepped in. It was crucial time. Like when someone goes missing, isn't it like the first 48 hours or something is the most crucial time?
But this is a classic scenario when it's someone who isn't missing because they're an adult and there's no signs of foul play, so you can't really do much.
So there is something interesting at the end that I really liked about this. But so a lot of time was lost, unfortunately, and that's like the worst part about adult missing cases. And then when it came to investigators, they just theorized, which seems pretty accurate, that it was in the time period of walking out the front door, unlocking it
to go to work,
and then going to her car is when she actually disappeared or something happened to her.
Because if her car is gone, they haven't found the car yet, right?
Right.
I assume it was like she's opening her door and then someone shoves her in, or someone's waiting in her car. This is always crazy. I've heard stories where like, I don't know if it's a true story, but I've heard a story where like someone keeps climbing up from the back seat and then someone trailing the car is like flashing the lights and everything. So the guy goes back down and then he goes up again and the guy keeps like flashing lights.
That was confusing. I don't know what you're saying.
Like a person trailing you, and in the back seat of your car, there's a guy that you don't know about.
Oh.
And the person trailing you sees the guy.
Oh.
It probably didn't really happen, but I've heard stories like that.
Yeah, that is scary. And then like in my area, if your lights were off, like there would be gang members driving around with their lights off, and if you flashed them, they would follow you and kill you.
You've said that before. I don't think that's true.
Well, it happened.
Like it's a gang initiation where they have to kill the first
Trenton.
person that flashes the lights.
I lived in like a crime-ridden area. Sorry.
You didn't live in a crime-ridden area. You lived in a nice area.
I lived near one, Trenton.
Okay.
We were in that area. It was like 10 minutes away from me. Sorry. You stop interrupting me.
Okay.
Okay. So 2 days later, on January 26th, her car was found 1 mile away in another condo complex. And the police also noticed that this complex had several cameras in it. And several cameras, 3 in fact, facing where the car was. And so obviously this is a huge break. They're stoked. They're like, all right, we're going to figure this out.
I know this part.
And it's only been 2 days later. So the camera footage actually wasn't video footage. It was pictures taken every 3 seconds. And that's very common. I'm sure it's like cheaper to do and it saves like recording time.
Yeah. So
if you actually look up the case, you can see the picture even on just like a Wikipedia page. That whenever they tried to like figure out who was the suspect walking when he left the car, Jennifer's car that was parked, his face was blocked by a fence, so you couldn't see who it was. You could only see figure out his height and what he was wearing.
It was multiple pictures were blocked by the fence, right?
Yeah. All
it was
the
like
ones
3
that were
different
taken.
ones, and every time you couldn't see his face because of the fence.
Yeah. So the video footage shows this unidentified person dropping the car off, correcting the position several times. So like backing out, backing in. Like that's weird, but maybe to make it less, suspicious.
So this person's 100% tied to the case in some way. He knows what happened, probably, right?
Not necessarily knows what happened, but tied to it. Obviously.
How else would he have gotten the car? Someone's just get rid of this car for me.
Yeah, I'll pay you $100, and he's just a construction worker. Yeah. So they actually sat in the car for 32 seconds, according to the footage, and then they walked away. So that's plenty of time to quickly clean up. Right? There could be fingerprints, just clean off the steering wheel, clean off the seat, whatever the case is. So the police in that area got the FBI and the NASA involved and had them analyze the photos, but all they could tell was the person was around 5'5". So they did wonder if it was a woman, but it doesn't seem like it is a woman from what I could tell. And the person was also wearing all white, like a painter or a construction person would be. So
it's like a painting outfit.
Yeah, so that's something to note for sure. And then when the forensics arrived to check out the car, they couldn't find any DNA in the car except one small fiber and a partial fingerprint, so they couldn't really match anything to it, unfortunately. And then a search dog was brought in and tracked a scent from the car parked a mile away in the other condo complex back to Jennifer's car parking lot in her condo complex. So that's
what
weird.
What does that mean? So
to me, that means it was someone in her complex that did it, dropped off the car, and then just went back to work at the complex.
It could also mean like the dog picked up the scent from her condo that far away, like a mile away. It can't do that, right?
No, it picked up the scent from the car of the person who dropped off the car.
Did it go to her specific condo or like a different one in the complex?
It went to her parking spot.
So you're thinking like it's a person who lives right next to her?
I'm thinking it's one of the construction workers that also wouldn't talk to the younger brother.
Okay.
So, but like that also made it clear, like, so nothing was stolen. So the motive isn't robbery. None of her credit cards even showed activity after she went missing. So that's that. That's really...
No body found?
No. She's missing.
So what was the motive then, I guess, really? You got ex-boyfriend. What is her job?
Finance.
Maybe like a jealous coworker.
So yeah, so let's quickly hit on these suspects. So the investigators first questioned her ex-boyfriend and then her current boyfriend, Rob, but they both had credible alibis. Rob's phone was pinging from Fort Lauderdale all that day, so like obviously he wasn't in Orlando where she was,
Okay.
So they weren't suspects.
Not the boyfriends.
The condo complex she lived in was undergoing construction. It was fairly new, and a lot of workers even lived in the unleased condos at the time.
Okay.
Jennifer spoke Spanish, and majority, if not all of the workers were Hispanic. So whenever they would like catcall her or talk behind her back, she could understand what they were saying. She never like confronted them, but she was uncomfortable. She would tell her family about this uncomfortableness. So the police started questioning the workers, but since there was like 200 of them and a lot of them could have been undocumented, it could have been like easy for them to just never be tracked.
Yeah.
Because if you're undocumented, then like you're not on the payroll, nothing really, happens, nothing doing.
Okay.
And then her brother's friend who was staying there was also considered a potential suspect because they had dated in the past, but we don't know how serious the dating was, and he was eventually ruled out. And then the last suspect, as you mentioned, was a coworker who was a married man at her work who continuously asked her out, berated her. I don't know if berate's the word, sorry. He was just like almost harassing her. And so they questioned him, but he was eventually ruled out after being questioned. So that's really the case. I'm strongly believing it was one of the construction workers.
That's really the only reasonable suspect.
They wouldn't talk to the brother, so they obviously keep to themselves. She was beautiful. You can look up a picture of her, and they were always like catcalling her. They knew her when she left. They knew when she came home. They knew she lived alone. I mean, it's the easiest, and there's so many of them. And if you're an illegal alien, also, you're just like, nothing can happen to me.
Not a lot of people just commit crimes without a motive, though, unless it was like rape or like sexually driven.
Yeah, that's what I'm imagining.
I guess so. That's like the only real suspect. There's no one, but like 99% of crimes are committed by someone you know.
Yeah, this could just be in that one person. I mean, the reason we do these cases is because we're trying to bring light to ones that like don't fit in that 99% rule, right?
Yeah.
So, current time, there's a $5,000 reward out for any information on her, which is, great by her family. There's still hope. They're still looking. And then in May,
but $5,000 for like a
maybe they can't
felony
afford
murder,
more.
like it's just not really gonna move the needle much.
You can't judge that. In May of 2008, the Senate in Florida passed a new bill, which I thought was great, the Jennifer Kesse and Tiffany Sessions Missing Persons Act, which states that when an adult person goes missing, the police can jump to action right away as if it were a missing child.
I don't love that.
I think that's fantastic.
Why? It's just a waste of resources. Every time an adult goes missing, the police are... See, I hate these rules and like these laws that are passed just because of one like, negative thing that happens. We just give away our rights when one bad thing happens. It's so out of the ordinary.
I mean, I have a really good point to kind of refute what you're saying, but I don't want to say it live because it has to do with something like just we wouldn't share talking about, probably like the death penalty,
So
for
why
example.
are you bringing this up then?
Well, I'm just like I don't think what you're saying is actually what you believe.
What, giving up rights based on one outlandish case?
What do you mean giving up rights? If anything,
well, just a waste of resources.
I don't know about that. Because it seems that enough people are going missing that are adults that the police just sit back on.
Because I'd imagine 9 out of 10 or 99 out of 100 missing persons is just not a real missing person. They're just not available for a day or something.
That's still one person though. I mean, and if it seems like, I don't know. I guess we just differ on this. But I thought the act was great. I mean, whether or not it's utilized, I mean, at least it's there for future reference for police officers if it's needed.
So I guess it's the construction workers? Just some random construction worker?
That's what I'm thinking.
Okay. What do you guys think?
It's not in sync. Sorry, this happens every time. I wish you should work on the setup.
I've tried, but it starts on synced up. What do you guys think on potato juice when the starch is removed? What? Why would you drink potato juice?
I know.
I think it's a waste of time.
Definitely construction workers.
Yeah, I guess that's the only really reasonable theory, right?
Yeah.
It could be like a random serial killer. I'm sure they check the area for serial killers, though, right?
I don't know.
They always do that. They're like, is there any active serial killers in the area?
Do you mean potato vodka? I don't know.
Potato vodka. What type of construction work were they doing? I think they were doing construction work on
the condo she lived in.
Yeah. If it was your daughter, yeah, I mean, when it's your daughter, you always get irrational. If it's your daughter, of course, you want the FBI, the CIA, everyone to be involved. But is that realistic? You can't really base things on if it's your daughter. Her family still puts up billboards in Central Florida, someone says. So I have one of these almond butter packets, RX nut butter. I kind of like them. Can you have too many quote-unquote correct veggies? Maybe too much meat causes the calories to add up quicker. You can have too much of anything. I don't really see a ton of value in having tons of veggies every day. It's mostly about the nutrient density of your foods, but yeah, the meat can add up the calories a little bit, but more so fat really adds a lot of calories daily. It could be just about anyone, yeah. That's true. I guess the leading suspect would have to be some kind of worker that was maybe just, a criminal that does stuff like this all the time. I don't know. It's sad the number of women that disappear every year without explanation. How many is there actually? How many women do you think disappear every year?
I don't know. I couldn't even take a guess at that.
Wake up, read human trafficking.
Yeah, that was also suggested.
Oh yeah.
As a theory, but I don't know. I guess I haven't read enough about human trafficking, honestly, and how rampant it is or it isn't in states.
It seems to be pretty rampant.
From what you guys say, yeah, for sure. And it's always an option as to why.
We should look up some human trafficking statistics.
Maybe we should do a case where someone is actually human trafficked and found. Has that happened? I mean, we've seen.
I'm sure it's happened.
Well, we've seen Taken.
That
was a great.
There's one movie I've seen actually too that was really good about human trafficking.
Like a documentary? Oh no, I saw a sex one, a sex worker one, which was really good.
Okay, here's the facts according to PolarisProject.org. Human trafficking. 40.3 million victims of human trafficking globally. So that seems to be substantial, but globally, I mean, there's a lot of really terrible areas globally.
Yeah.
81% of them are trapped in forced labor. 25% of them are children. 75% are women and girls. Wow, I would imagine even more than 75%.
Forced labor, I didn't. Wow, yeah.
I want to see U.S. statistics, though. Okay.
There was news info on new tips on this case in April of 2018. Whoa.
There was?
Yeah.
What happened?
I don't know. Someone said that. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
One sec. Trying to find these stats here. 5,147 human trafficking cases reported this year in the U.S. 2018. I mean, not a huge number. Obviously,
what do the calls mean?
this is a human trafficking hotline.
Oh.
Obviously, any amount of human trafficking is terrible. The number would ideally be 0, but I don't know. Is 5,000 a lot?
So 14,000 calls and
14,000 calls, 5,000 cases reported. So like in Michigan, there was 176. In Georgia, there was 157. I don't know. Is that a lot?
It doesn't sound like a lot, but given what it is, it's a lot.
Those are the cases, not the number of people. And that's just the ones that are reported. Okay, yeah, that's true. There's probably a lot of unreported. So maybe the number's like 3 times as high, maybe
more than
three
that.
times unreported. If it was your daughter, you just keep saying if it was your daughter, of course. If it was my daughter, I'd be like Liam Neeson.
I hope so. I hope you go into action like that.
I'd start just using high-powered rifles with no idea how to actually use them.
He did know how to use them.
I know, but I don't know how to use them.
Oh.
Okay, but is this woman being counted? I don't think she would be counted because she is not
reported.
Confirmed.
Yeah. She's just missing still at this point.
Okay, you guys ready for my case? I feel like we're getting a little deep today. Just gotta get the last little bit out of here.
CBD is okay for keto, right? Yeah. It's good on it's okay on keto for sure.
You got to look at what oil is in it. Also, it's usually like MCT or olive oil.
Yeah, we've bought from Charlotte's Web, but that's the only place we've ever bought from.
1 is a lot if it's a family member.
Yeah.
Of course, guys.
I mean, they're not just making it a number. They're putting some they're making it more human by saying that, which I respect.
Oh, what's up, Matthew? Okay, here we go. We're diving in. Today, oh man, my document crashed. One sec. Okay, here we go. This is the Gardner Art Heist. So this is not a missing person case. This is the first time I'm ever doing this. This is a heist. So this is the largest art heist in history. It is valued at over $500 million worth of art. It's also the largest theft of private property in history, and it's the largest dollar value heist ever. So no heist has ever topped this, whether it's like bank robberies, nothing. This is the top dog, the number one. And I haven't really heard much about it until I started listening to a podcast, which if this interests you, there's a really good podcast. I think it's called Insight. Let me get it here real quick. Oops. It is called Insight. No, that's not what it's called. It's called Last Scene. Last Scene by the Boston Globe. It's a good podcast.
Denise Thomas, thank you for the donation. Do you guys think going keto one day and carnivore another can help correct my type 2 diabetes? So you're saying on and off, every other day you're carnivore or you're keto?
I don't think alternating every other day. But you can start by doing keto and then maybe do carnivore a little bit and see how that treats you.
But yeah, I think it could help with your type 2 diabetes.
Yeah. Okay, so the Gardner Museum, it's in Boston. It was built in 1902 and has over 15,000 pieces of art, and this is a private museum. So this is the art collected by a lady, Isabel Stewart Gardner. She opened the museum privately and just has all her art on display, basically. She owns it all. So the night of the heist, we're talking March 18th, 1990. There are 2 inexperienced guards on duty, as you would kind of expect, like security guards. Pretty easy job to get, I think.
Do you think if she could, like, if she opened this and has all her expensive stuff on display, she would get, like, good ones?
You would think you'd get, like, Israeli Mossad.
Or just, like, good ones.
Yeah, good ones. Because it is obviously protecting your investment.
It's private, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of people, they probably just, like, have some company they contract or whatever. So there's 2 inexperienced guards. They don't care at all about their job. And the one guard that is going to be a point of contention here is Richard E. Abbott. So he will come up throughout this. Now, he was a part-time musician, and he routinely would have concerts. This is a night shift, so he would have concerts. Then he would show up at his shift at the museum. A lot of times he'd be drunk and high, sometimes both. And he just didn't really care that much. You know, I'm going to sit here around here, pass the time, smoke some weed, etc. So 12:54 a.m., this is when things potentially kick off. This is past midnight, 12:54 a.m. 30 minutes before stuff starts to go down, there's a fire alarm activated on the 3rd floor of the museum. Abbott responded and did not notice anything out of the ordinary. And this is heavily debated whether this was like the initial part of the heist or if this was just a total coincidence. Because 30 minutes later, at 1:24 a.m., 2 men dressed as police officers show up. And there's a door, and there's like a camera system. And there's 2 officers, and they push the button, they talk, and they're like, hey, we're here responding to some kind of commotion, some calls.
That was definitely a part of the heist then.
So they're thinking, you know, maybe he's like, oh, there was that fire alarm. Maybe they're responding to that. Or it could have just been because it was around St. Patrick's Day that, you know, there was like commotions outside the building they're responding to. So it's unknown whether it was related to the fire alarm. But Abbott buzzes the 2 policemen in. And you're not supposed to do that. It actually says explicitly in the museum protocol, do not buzz police officers in. You first have to call the office, like the police station, and be like, are there police officers at the door or not?
But if you're like drunk and high, wouldn't you be like nervous and you'd be like, oh, you just got to do it?
Yeah, pretty much. So the 2 men are buzzed in. One of the officers is like, oh, he's talking to Abbott. What's his first name? Richard Abbott. He's talking to Abbott. And he's like, you look familiar. And I think there's a warrant out for your arrest. So they asked him to provide identification. And it's apparently like he fumbled around a little bit. He couldn't do it right away. So they pin him to the wall, handcuff him. And as he's being handcuffed, he's like, oh, this could be a robbery because they didn't frisk me or anything. So...
Does he say it out loud?
No, this is just him recalling what's going on. So he's like, oh, man, this might be a robbery. And then the second security guard... also shows up at the front desk shortly after, and he's like, why did you guys arrest him? And then they start arresting the second security guard. And he's like, oh, what's going on here? And as they put the handcuffs on him, he just kind of submits, basically. They put the handcuffs on him, and he's like, this is a robbery. Don't give us any problems, and you won't get hurt. So then they're like, okay, we're getting robbed. But they also don't care that much because, you know, it's not their stuff. They're just cashing checks. So the guards are tied up and they're duct taped, and they had like duct tape over their face. They're just all duct tape up. They're handcuffed to, it's like a boiler room, like an exposed pipe, basically.
Okay.
And the intruders leave them there, and they just got the whole run of the place. They're really comfortable. They're not stressed out at all, like you would imagine if you're robbing millions of dollars of art. You'd be like very high stress, but. So they're in the museum for 81 minutes total, and motion detectors. It's 1990, so there's not a ton of sophisticated stuff going on, but there's motion detectors that kind of signify like there's a person here now, there's not a person here now.
Right.
And that is all the data we have of their movements through that night. So in total, 13 items were taken, and they were valued at over 500 million.
Jeez.
And there's one particular piece, The Concert, it's called, is by Vermeer. It's one of only 34 of his works in the world, that's ever been recovered, and it's valued at over 200 million. And they take the art. They
Also, is this like a museum for people to go to as well?
Yeah, people go to it.
Okay.
At 2:28 a.m., the robbers check back on the guards, remove the security footage from that night. They like stomp on it basically. And they take the art to their getaway vehicle, 2 separate trips. They're just kind of, taking their time. 2 trips worth of art to the getaway vehicle. They're gone. Next morning, between 6:45 and 8:15 a.m.
So they were there for like
81
an hour
minutes.
and a half. Oh.
81 minutes total. So between 6:45 and 8:15 a.m. the next morning, the morning shift guards show up. And they're not able to get in. They're like, okay, this is weird. We usually just, get in, buzz right in. So they call the police. Police show up at 8:30 a.m. They get in somehow. It's unclear how. And they realize there's guards tied up. The place has been robbed. Immediately, they search for what's been robbed, send out all the alerts.
I would think the guards are in on it.
We'll get to theories. That's definitely one of the theories. 90% of art heists are inside jobs.
Yeah.
So the robbers wore gloves to cover their fingerprints, but they did not wear masks because they were posing as police officers. So both guards got a good look at their faces. Abbott, obviously much better than the other guard because the other guard was just kind of arrested pretty quickly. Abbott, though, he could not really give a good description to the police on what they looked like.
Okay. That's suspicious.
He's also probably like faded big time. So he might, but he does claim that he was not on drugs or alcohol that night at all.
Well, of course he's going to say that.
Yeah. So interestingly, it's been debated like how much art heist people, the people who heisted this stuff, actually knew about art and they like had their layout planned out.
They must have gone to the museum itself.
You would think they've gone to the museum and they've like searched like what's in this museum, what's valuable. That's the minimum, right?
Unless it's all online, like what is there?
But it's 1990, so it wasn't really online.
Oh yeah, we just had computers and stuff.
So it seems like the consensus is the robbers did not really know a ton about art, but they knew like some names, and the names of the artists are on all the artwork. And basically, like most art heists throughout history, all the big ones, it's always targeted Rembrandt paintings. And they took 3 Rembrandts, and then it's theorized that like maybe they just got lucky and they took the $200 million painting, which was also in the Rembrandt room. But they also took some stuff that like was worth nothing at all, and it was really heavy. Like there's a Napoleon era gold eagle that goes like on top of a battle flag, basically.
You would think that's worth a lot.
You might think it's worth a lot because
Yeah.
it's like looks gold, but it's really not worth like anything compared to some other paintings. And it took a lot of effort to get that off, so an experienced person wouldn't have done that. Because they left behind Michelangelo paintings. So April 1994, this is 4 years later, museum receives an anonymous letter which claims to know the location of the art. The author has great intimate knowledge of the art world and the artwork that was taken. The author asked for $2.6 million for the safe return of the artwork. They agreed, of course, but they never heard from the author again.
Okay.
And throughout all this time, ever since the art was taken, there was always been a $5 million reward for the art. And at one point, when they were getting close to reclaiming the art, they upped it to $10 million. And in 2017, that expired, so it's back down to 5. And a lot of people think like once the 10 million's down to 5, you're not really going to get any more. Like people aren't going to say anything about it
Oh yeah.
because you're totally reducing the bounty. And another interesting thing is that the statute of limitations on these crimes has passed.
Okay.
So what does that mean exactly? Like you can just say you did it and not get in trouble?
Well, yeah, they can't prosecute you for it. So like, even if they know you did and they had evidence against you, it's like they can't do anything.
So now that's basically the whole thing. We'll get to the theories now. So there is like 4 or 5 decent theories, and honestly no one really knows, but there's some cool stuff that happens here. So the first one is Brian Mcdevitt. So this guy is a screenwriter, and he attempted a robbery in New York in the 80s where he drugged a FedEx truck driver, took his suit, had a package that was supposed to be delivered to a museum in New York, but he got stuck in traffic on the way there, and he eventually got arrested, and he wasn't able to rob the place. He served a few months in jail for that, but at the time of the Gardner Heist, He lived 10 minutes away. He's been questioned several times but never gave up any information. So that's one potential suspect. And then I think probably the strongest theory is the inside job theory. So this is the only security guard that's really questioned is Abbott. The other guy seems totally innocent. So they knew where the alarm switch was. This is crucial because there's only one switch that notifies police, and it was at the desk that Abbott was sitting at. And he could just go like this, and the police would come. But they got him away from the desk immediately and arrested him. So that was disabled. They knew the art didn't have any anti-theft devices. So a lot of expensive art apparently has anti-theft devices built right into the picture somehow, so you can't steal it or people are notified. And
in 1990, that existed?
Apparently. And of course, he couldn't recall the faces of the robbers.
Yeah.
And then this is the most damning evidence against him. There's motion detectors, like I said, all over the museum. On the first floor, there's no motion detected from the criminals. So Abbott, he does a round, like a museum round, just checking on everything before the intruders get there, and he's caught on the motion detectors. But then somehow they got disabled, and the criminals are not caught on the first floor motion detectors at all. So that leads people to believe maybe Abbott somehow turned them off. Something happened there.
Why would he only turn off the first floor ones?
That's a good question. I don't know. He probably wouldn't. If he knew how to turn them all off, I'm sure he would have.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Abbott broke protocol by letting the police in. And this is a big one. Just a year or two ago, video was released that shows Abbott, the night before the heist, he allowed an unauthorized visitor into the building. And he apparently does not remember doing this.
You think they would, and this was recently? You think the police would have looked at this footage?
Years ago. Maybe they had it, but they just released it.
Oh, okay. And he was like too high? He doesn't remember? Is that what we're thinking? That he's like
maybe
claiming?
Or it could just be like he did this all the time, so it wasn't a big thing. He was just like always breaking protocol.
Yeah. I guess it's hard to recall things from no, but like if it's the night before a big heist and you aren't a part of the heist, you'd think you'd remember.
And okay, so then this cool guy comes into the picture. His name is Arthur Brand.
Why is he cool?
Because he's a famous art investigator. He's basically like the top dog. If you have art missing, this guy finds it. He's recovered like millions and millions of dollars. He goes undercover as a criminal. He goes undercover as like an art thief, an art dealer, tons of stuff.
That's cool.
So 1 year after the heist, he had pictures. He got pictures of some of the art from the heist in an undisclosed location in Holland in like a storage locker.
How do you get pictures?
Because he's in the underworld, just kind of like working. So he has like photographs of it. In 2010, he heard that the pieces were possessed by a member of the Irish Republican Army, which I don't know much about that, like the Irish Republican Army. But after working on the case for 12 years, Brand believes, this is his whole theory on things, the art was stolen by small-time thieves. And this is like a recurring thing. A lot of people are just like, these people probably didn't even know they have the greatest heist ever until they heard it on the news the next day.
Yeah.
And then those thieves sold the pieces to U.S. gang members who were probably like higher ups, and then they were just small-time crooks. Woody Allen movie. And then they shipped the pieces to Ireland in the mid-90s to a top-ranking Irish Republican Army officers. Which I don't know why the Irish Republic officers would want it, but that's his whole theory. And after finishing everything with this Brand investigator guy, the FBI released a statement that says, "We believe with high confidence that we have identified those responsible for the theft, even though we still don't know where the art is currently located."
But like, why isn't the art investigator telling them? He saw them in Why didn't when
he's
he
telling
got
them
the
he's
picture-
working with the FBI.
Yeah, but why when he got the pictures, didn't the FBI do something?
I think they were just trying to like let him work his process because he got more info than the FBI ever could. So they're like, maybe this is our best shot of getting it back.
And also, this seems way less plausible than like Jennifer Kesse getting into human trafficking.
Less plausible? What do you mean?
Like, this seems ridiculous.
His theory?
Like, just some dumb idiots who got lucky with this huge heist. It's like, it doesn't really
What do you
all
think,
play
then?
in.
You think it's like expert heisters?
Well, I think they definitely knew what they were doing. Granted, it was 1990, so it's easier, and if it was an inside job, but like nonetheless, I feel like they knew what they were doing.
Maybe.
Especially if they were able to sell it to gang members who would ship it across to Ireland.
Well, that's the thing.
That's not easy to figure out.
Once you steal high-profile art, there's not really a lot to do with it. Which is we'll get
Exactly.
to this theory later.
So they had to have known like they're gonna acquire these pieces that need to be sold. So they set this up even before they did the heist.
There's one other reason why you would acquire expensive art, other than selling it,
Why?
which we'll get to shortly. This next theory is the Merlino Crew, and this is like straight out of a Martin Scorsese movie, basically. So there's a small auto shop, I think it's in the Boston area, and this was the Merlino Crew headquarters. You can just imagine it. Like, people pull into the garage, they like have some coffee, they go in the back room, and they meet with Carmelo Merlino. They just talk crime, you know? Just like capos, things like that. Eating cannolis. Carmelo Merlino boasted to two informants, police informants, he didn't know he was talking to them, that he planned to recover the artwork and collect the reward. And then he was subsequently caught in an FBI sting in 1999 trying to rob an armored car. Merlino never gave any information about the stolen artwork despite being offered leniency on his crimes. So that to me is like, he probably doesn't know much, or he's just, you know, true to the code.
No, he's not true to the code.
You don't think so?
No. Rarely people are true to the code.
I don't know. I feel like Italian mobsters are sometimes true to the code.
Oh, yeah. I think Italian mobsters and I think Native American gang members after seeing that most recent Liam Neeson movie.
Oh, yeah. What was that one called?
Cold Pursuit.
Very bad.
I liked it.
And then we got William Youngsworth, and this is when people, police, FBI are like, just made a break in the case. So Youngsworth is an antiques dealer who claimed he could return the paintings if, here's the stipulations, he needs to get the $5 million reward, he needs immunity from all prosecution if he's like associated with the crime, and he needs dismissal of the current charges against him. Now that's the big thing. The current charges against him, he has some. Just like, they're pretty severe. I don't know exactly what they were. He shows pictures of the paintings to authorities. And this makes like the headline news, like on the Boston Globe. It's like, we got pictures. We've seen the paintings again. They're recoverable. So at that point, they demanded credible evidence that he actually has access to the paintings. The U.S. attorney required this. And Youngsworth provides a vial of paint fragments said to be from one of the stolen Rembrandts. The FBI said the paint was not from the Rembrandts. Analysis done years later, though, showed that the paint was consistent with that used in the 17th century by Dutch artists such as Vermeer.
I think at this point the FBI is just like doesn't want to give William anything, and they're just like, let's just deny that it's the paint. We don't believe him. You know, without
it is the paint. They just said
no, but the FBI said it wasn't
Yeah.
the paint. So I'm just like, they don't even care at this point. They're just like, we're over it.
It is possible, since he is an antiques dealer, that he had access to like some kind of 17th century artwork. That he could have just chipped paint off of. The FBI still believes what they were shown was a replica because the painting was in like a shipping tube, one of those roll-up shipping tubes. And apparently museum paintings, they're like on the back, they're like laminated in thick stuff to where you can't just roll them up. So they're like, that doesn't make sense. You can't roll up our paintings. And they don't believe him. So that is all the suspects.
Can I close this real quick?
Yeah. What do you got as far as the suspects go? What do you guys think as far as those suspects go? We got William Youngsworth. He's the antiques dealer who shipped in shaved paint from a painting. We got the Merlino Crew, which is basically just a mobster that said he could recover the paintings to informants. We got Arthur Brand, the famous art investigator, who says, you know, he gave his timeline on the events. We got the inside job, and then we got Brian Mcdevitt, who was 10 minutes away from the robbery location, and he has a history of robberies.
So John Andrew said Abbott, and I'm 100% with Abbott. I just think it was an inside job. I think from the first time, from the moment you told me that he couldn't recall the faces the next day, or that evening, or the next day, that just to me was like, that doesn't, even like, I mean, if he was so high that he blacked out, like, I don't know.
I don't think that
if he
happened.
was that high.
But the thing is, even if it is abeth, it's likely abeth in combination with another one of these options. Because he's not the mastermind. He's just some,
No, he was the one that told the other two guys everything about the museum.
No, what's more likely is criminals got a hold of abeth and they're like, hey, we know you're a security guard. We want to do a robbery.
And they gave him money to shut up?
Yeah. I don't think abeth masterminded it.
So you're saying it's an inside job in conjunction with like Brian Mcdevitt?
Probably in conjunction with the mobsters.
Yeah, because the mobsters would have the most connection to gang members to the Irish.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think anyone else has that kind of connection in my mind. I'm leaning towards inside job. They are all politicians. Inside job, rigged. No, they are running for now they're running for Congress.
So here's some other interesting points on the case. The FBI believes the thieves had no idea they committed the greatest heist of all time until they saw the news the next morning. They thought, they probably got a decent haul, but nothing huge. Because there's like, art heists actually happen pretty frequently, and it's usually like, like $2 million, $4 million. They probably thought they just did something like that. A strong theory. So this is an interesting thing on why you would steal art if you know you can't sell it. Because you got $500 million of art on the open market, but on the black market, it's like, maybe like 10 million. It's like really low value because you can't really do much with it.
Did she have insurance?
I don't know.
Like, how would she get reimbursed for $500 million worth of?
I don't think you would.
I think there's some, and I'm sure she had some insurance.
You can get insurance. I don't know if she had it. But a reason you would steal the art is for collateral for crimes you have yet to commit. So if you have $500 million worth of painting in your back pocket, you have basically a free pass. Like you can be committing crimes nonstop, and then you always have this that can get you off the hook.
But apparently they were shipped off.
Yeah. It's like a get out of jail free card. What do you mean apparently they were shipped off?
So they didn't have the pieces if they did commit more crimes.
You just don't have to have them on your person, but you have to have access to them.
I don't know if they have access to them. Because, like, did they even know who they were going to? If these are just randos?
What do you mean?
Like, the criminals, did they know they ended up with Irish people, or did they just hand them off to the gang?
Well, we don't know that they went to Irish people. That's just the investigator's theory.
The art investigator. But I think we're putting a lot of credit on him, right? Because he's well known for doing that.
Yeah.
Mike McAtheist, thank you for the donation. Just found your channel. Thanks for the knowledge. Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And then the last note is 80% of art is an inside job of art crime. And then as I was researching this case, it just got me kind of interested in art. And I don't know, it's really lost on me. And I feel like a lot of you are probably the same way. Like, you can't appreciate art as much as maybe people used to.
To the extent at which it's valued, I can't appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't appreciate a $200 million painting at that
No,
worth.
I wouldn't either. I wouldn't understand why it's better than, another painting that's like $10. Really.
I mean, I'm sure we could see the difference in that sense, but like $200 million is a very high valuation.
So.
Like your daughter's finger painting versus.
Yeah. Well.
Which could sell for $10.
The best way that it made sense to me is if you compare it to like classic musical works of art, like Beethoven's Seventh Symphony or whatever. If you're missing, like if you can just never hear that again. Or I guess like the way it makes the most sense is when you hear Beethoven's Seventh Symphony, you're like, wow, it's undeniable. It's really good. That guy knows what he's doing. And to inform people when they see art, it's kind of the same way apparently. You're like, oh, that's an amazing picture. $200 million. So I was looking at like how much is art actually worth these days. And the most expensive painting ever sold is the Salvator Mundi. It sold in 2017 for $450 million.
To whom?
To a Russian collector. And today it's valued at $460 million. So that's the largest art sale of all time. It's by Leonardo da Vinci.
Come here, Julius. He has to go potty. Come here.
We need 10 more minutes.
I know. I just wanted to call him over.
But in 1962, the Mona Lisa was appraised for an insurance policy at $100 million, and adjusted, that's $782 million today.
Whoa.
But the actual sales price, people estimate, if it went to auction, it'd be over $1 billion, possibly like over $5 billion for the Mona Lisa, because it's essentially priceless, which is interesting.
Yeah.
And then I was looking into this.
$5 billion?
Yeah, $5 billion it would sell for. Over $1 billion for sure.
And right now it's in
the Louvre
yeah, which is like it's a public
museum. I
like
think.
who owns it? Like the government?
I don't know.
Like
sure.
just the museum owns it?
The actual painting? Yeah, I don't know. But it was interesting. I was looking up a lot of the recent art purchases, and a lot of them is like Abu Dhabi, like art foundation, and like it seems like they're compiling a lot of art. Abu Dhabi. So then I was looking into famous artists because it's just fascinating to me. So there's two types of artists. There's those that lived the poor artist life, and then there's those that were actually famous when they were alive. Mm-hmm. So Michelangelo was a famous guy when he was alive. He was worth $10 million when he died. Rembrandt.
Who did the Sistine Chapel?
I think Michelangelo?
I think
I don't
it was
know.
too.
I'm not sure. Rembrandt made nearly $500,000 per year at his peak. Picasso, who I always thought was like a poor artist, he was worth $50 million when he died.
Oh.
And then there's those like Johannes Vermeer, which was the painting that was stolen in the story. He was unknown until 2 centuries after his death, and now his paintings are valued at over $1 billion total.
That always saddens me.
Yeah. Vincent van Gogh only sold one painting in his entire life out of the 2,100 that he produced. Died poor. Now we're just getting into art territory. And then David Hockney, just in 2018, became the world's most expensive living artist with a painting sold for $90 million. Because I always thought a lot of what put value into art was how old it was and stuff.
Yeah. What are the qualities that make it worth that much then?
I don't know. I looked at it, and it's definitely a nice painting, but...
What is it of?
It's
what
a guy...
kind of work does he do?
He does a lot of different work, but it's a guy standing by a pool.
So, like, he does portraits or landscapes? Mostly
a little bit of both. He's known for, like, I guess, doing landscapes in a modern time when it's like people thought they were a dead art. And if you do adjust for the current value of the artwork, the Mona Lisa was actually stolen in 1911. So that could technically be the biggest art heist ever. And the guy who stole that, he hid in a storage, like a janitor closet overnight, and then in the morning he just walked out with it.
And it was retrieved.
Yeah, it was retrieved.
Okay.
And another interesting art heist story. In 2003, 4 million in paintings were stolen, and they were found in a bathroom 200 meters away from the museum. And there was a note just saying, like, I didn't steal these for the value. I just stole them to point out the lack of security at the museum. And it was at the Whitworth Art Gallery.
It was poor security guards.
Yeah.
Embarrassed left and right.
What if it's a Banksy? Yeah, kids these days love Banksy.
I mean, does he do actual paintings or only like pieces of work on buildings and walls?
I think mostly on buildings and walls.
He also did, I always think of like, what's it called? The Silicon Valley signature, Gavin Belson.
Yeah.
Did that.
Oh yeah, that's from that. Yeah, the Mona Lisa is only valuable because it became famous after it was stolen. Yeah, that's true.
That's interesting.
It's not one of the best works. Yeah, I guess that's probably like the Mona Lisa to real art people. It's probably like Britney Spears, like a pop artist. It's not like true, really good art. It's like the stuff that everyone knows about.
I don't know. We'd have to talk to someone who appreciates art.
That's what I would imagine. These crime stories are so interesting. I love this.
He does political graffiti. Yeah.
Michelangelo painted the Sistine Chapel. The girl with the pearl earring. Oh, isn't there a movie with about like Michelangelo? Is it?
Oh yeah, the painting.
It looks good. Has anyone seen that movie?
It's like a Sundance film.
It's supposed to be like kind of a documentary drama thing. That's a good Britney Spears analogy. Thank you.
Am I here live with you? Cheryl, yes, you are here live with us. Hello.
What's new with you guys?
Anything else?
Make a trip to Boston, guys. So much history, even without these missing pics.
I'm just not like a history buff, like in terms of like art museums.
I'm not
Like
either.
we're going to Savannah in a couple weeks, and I'm excited to actually just fully immerse and like give it a try because it is very historical and like
What happened there?
I don't know, some war. But there's like museums everywhere. I have no idea, but I just know like a lot of walking tours. And,
There was probably a battle there.
yeah. We're going to be doing yoga in the park on Saturday morning.
What?
I already booked it.
Why?
Because we got to start doing things together like that. That'll be fun. Even though I'm probably going to hate it too. We can always leave.
Did the dark web exist in 1990? Did the internet
I feel
even
like-
exist?
Yeah, it did.
When did the internet happen? I know it was like in the 70s for the government, but I think it was like 95
Late
or
80s?
something. Late 80s when it was really popular?
Well, when it started to become popular, like in 1990, I know when I was born, our parents had cell phones.
Oh, a prison break could be an interesting tale to tell.
Let's just all watch Shawshank Redemption together.
Yeah.
Oh, remember it was at that museum where we watched in my mom's house. That
Yeah.
that was really cool. In
Cleveland
Ohio.
or something, yeah.
I'd say come to Kansas City, but it's boring and our barbecue is the best though. Yeah, we'd come for food.
Modern art is more along the lines of human canvas, like tattoos. Yeah, so I was actually looking at some modern art to kind of compare and see what I thought, and it definitely does seem like modern art's
What's
not
an
as
example?
good. An example, like you know when you go to the modern art museums, it's just kind of like a
I've
lot of
never been.
abstract and like
Oh yeah.
it's not really people
Or
painting
like neon
portraits.
signs or like women's butt cheeks,
Yeah.
like 4 different color prints.
It's not
Yeah.
as good, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of it is like a lot of the art that I know is actual just like photography. It's not paintings.
Yeah, there's some good photography. Photography makes more sense to me because it's like really
You're capturing a moment in time, but like painting is also a lot more impressive then, right? If you're still capturing the moment in time.
There were those guys that escaped Alcatraz.
Yeah, didn't a couple of them die in the swimming?
No one
though?
knows. Their bodies have never been found. I think their
I
clothes
would
were
imagine
found.
some of them died.
Who knows? They're-
Swimming, and there's a far swim, and it's freezing, and it's really like.
But when your life's on the line, if you can swim pretty good, I feel like you could. I don't know. It's 1.5 miles, I think.
And like they did it at night, right?
That's gonna be pretty tough.
And like the water's really just like cutty.
I gotta know their swimming skills. They probably weren't very good if they're criminals. Criminals generally, I feel like can't swim that good.
Why?
If I had to say,
Like
I bet-
Michael Phelps will never be a criminal.
Yeah. Criminals don't go to like swimming lessons and stuff when they're kids.
How do you know?
Did you go to swimming lessons when you were kids?
Of course. I did 12 years.
The tomato soup can is the best artwork. I actually hate that artwork where they just do
Who
like
is that by? He's
tomato
famous.
soup cans
he does
4
a lot
times.
of work. What's his name?
There's what's that guy's name? I can't remember. I don't know much about art. Zip Fizz is very good. Waiting for more in the mail.
Oh, mine isn't loading.
What is the best flavor in the Dang bars?
I like the almond vanilla.
I like that too. I would say the blue one. Warhol, Andy Warhol.
Andy Warhol, correct.
Can you do DB Cooper? It's kind of boring to me.
I don't know who that is.
He robbed a bank, I think, and then he maybe jumped out of a plane or he like threw the money out of a plane. No one really knows. The money's never been found. He's never been found. The greatest art can be found on the pages of Keto Made Easy, says Daddy Warbucks.
Oh, thank you. You're the sweetest.
What about Lori Laughlin? Seems so nice. How about help your kids become educated from day one?
I know.
What does that mean? What is
She
Lori
was the
Laughlin?
one who was caught in the scandal recently with the cheating on the exams.
Oh, yeah. What do you
Paying
guys
off
think about
admins?
that? Paying off admins? I don't know. I can't say I wouldn't do it. I don't think I would, but I mean, if you can pull some strings, you pull strings for your kids, right?
I mean, if you want them to be something that they're not, yeah.
I think it's. I'm not
But
mad.
I thought about it. I put myself in the shoes. Would I do it? No.
I'm not as mad at the parents. I'm more mad at the faculty for accepting the money, right? That's who you should be mad at.
I'm not mad at it at all.
I'm not mad, but
Like,
I mean, that's who's at fault.
I get both sides, honestly. Can you let him on? He wants to sit with you.
That was disgusting. The rich get away with everything. Well, yeah, I mean, the people...
They didn't get away with it. Are they? I mean, I guess I thought something was happening. And she... like.
Oh, they were cheating on the SAT, too. Okay.
Yeah. They were having other people take the exam.
I mean, yeah, NBA players do that. Like Derrick Rose cheated on the ACT. He had someone take the test for him.
But nothing happened to him now.
Retroactively, I think they lost a national championship. But, yeah, he made $200 million, so it didn't really matter. But, I don't know. Yeah, of course you don't cheat.
I mean, if that's crazy, just go to the college that accepts you. What if no college accepts your child and you're embarrassed and society is like watching you because you're famous? I mean, I think about it like from that perspective, right? It could be embarrassing for the parents.
I do somewhat subscribe to the expression, if you're not cheating, you're not trying.
Cheat is going to cheat. I was going to say the same thing. Like, I definitely cheated throughout school.
Yeah, I cheated a lot in school on tests and stuff.
Yeah, like, of course you cheat if you have the option. And if you're, like, sitting next to the smart kid whose paper you can see.
They were paying for the... I didn't read the story. Were they actually, like, getting the answers from the SAT
I think they had other people take the exam for them. They paid one guy, like, $75K or something, who was making this happen. It was, like, one guy they paid.
That took the test?
No, that, like... orchestrated everything and helped them like get someone to sit the exam for them. But then I think there was also like athletic scholarships. I thought maybe I'm wrong there, but
gotta read the story. All these people in the comments hating on cheating, but still planning their next cheat meal.
Oh, Jay.
It's only natural to take every possible advantage for any opportunity you can. I agree. So the incentives have to be aligned for you not to do that. And obviously you need people in the positions that just like have morals and don't take money for stuff. I used your discount code for Perfect Keto and that was a great deal.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if it's correct in the last video. I don't know. Did you put 25% or 20?
25, right?
I don't know. I think you did.
Young kids don't really understand cheating. High school kids do, though.
What do you mean young kids? What does young kids mean? Like 18-year-olds who are taking the SATs? Yeah, that was like the prime of my cheating. No, probably not the prime.
One teacher changed the answers for $15K.
That's nothing.
I mean, well, for a teacher, it's a lot.
I mean, but she could have bargained for more. These people make millions of dollars.
Yeah, maybe she did bargain.
She probably realized.
Today when I was playing basketball at the gym, this guy had on a shirt that said, "You don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate for." And I kind of like that expression.
Who had that? The red shirt?
No, some other guy. Fake athletic scholarships, they never even played their sport.
Yeah, that was the crazier to me than someone sitting in for the SATs. Like, dude, in my high school, in my college, the Asian kids would always sit in for each other on like the organic chemistry tests.
Really? They would take tests for each other?
Yeah, because like...
I mean, that's just bad teaching. You can't notice the difference between two kids.
Yeah.
How do you not know your students?
I mean, people think Indians look alike. People think Asians look alike.
Yeah, but everyone, like, in high school, everyone has a personality and you know all of them. You can't switch kids.
But, like, you don't have to go in and, like, I mean, you just get the exam. You don't have to, like, prove you are who you are.
Like a take-home test?
No, like, you go and you sit for the exam. But were you proving, like, I'm Matt Gadke every time you took an exam?
What grade are we talking?
I'm talking, like, sophomore year of college.
No, I guess you can maybe get away with it in college, but you're risking a lot because when you get caught, you're just like thrown out of college. So it's not worth the risk.
Yeah. This teacher was really nice.
I remember in my college, like people had to stand up and just to like get accepted back into college, they had to like tell how bad their cheating story was and how they'll never do it again. Favorite stress food? Yeah, I guess when I'm stressed, I like to just, watch mindless shows.
Snacks that like all time. Like I don't
snack a lot.
It doesn't have to be anything specific. I kind of just
I eat like these things, like a keto bar type things.
Yeah.
They photoshopped their kids' faces onto sports teams. Wow, I didn't know it was this elaborate. Dang. If you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough. I kind of like those types of expressions. Within reason, I guess, right?
Well, it depends on what you're cheating on. Like, I don't think a college exam is that big of a deal. Granted, if I got an F on the test and the person who cheated messed up the curve, because that's what the Asian kids did in my class, they would screw me with the curve because 20 of them would get A's, and it's like, well, now...
Well, if 20 of them are getting A's, that's just the true curve. You should be getting A's.
No, it's not the true curve if you're having someone else sit in for you who's smarter than you and who knows the answers.
Yeah.
So, if it's really messing with me, then yeah, I'm upset.
What's your guys' opinion on dietary fiber from tapioca starch? I've seen mixed comments about it. I'm asking because I'm eating the Costco Kirkland protein bars. Yeah, they're keto friendly. It's fine. I mean, it's not in my opinion, great to be getting a lot of extra dietary fiber from non-nutritious things, but it is definitely a good snack, like a healthy alternative snack.
What happens when you can't pass a test at Harvard? I mean, I don't know if people know this, but if you're at an Ivy League school or you're at a really top school, and even law schools, I had friends at top law schools, once you prove you can get in, it's a lot easier. Yeah, teachers are more lenient because they're you've earned your place here. They hand out B's and A's more frequently than you think. So that's from my experience. And my brother went to an Ivy League school. I have a lot of friends who did. And it's just once you're in for the most part.
I guess I don't understand. So this was some kind of mass conspiracy that had many actors across multiple states. It was some big thing. It wasn't just isolated incidences that were uncovered together.
Right. It was a lot of people doing it.
A Harvard guy was on the news saying they don't fail anyone.
That exactly. If you get into an Ivy League school, you've proven yourself at that point. They're not going to fail you once you're there.
Do we really need fiber? ?
Very
good question. It's definitely, I'd say, debatable.
We just had a recent podcast
with Dr. Ruscio.
Yeah, you can listen to that. We talk about that.
The thing is, we've always eaten a pretty good amount of fiber. But whether that's out of necessity or out of optimal health is debatable, I'd say. Mm-hmm. Who has 400K to drop on an exam? I mean, some people do. A lot of people do. Bill Gates does, right?
Yeah, Laura Loughlin might have.
Who's Laura Loughlin?
She was the mom, Rebecca in Full House. She was Jesse's wife.
Oh. See, yeah. She probably makes tons of money just off the reruns of the shows, right? Once you have a hit TV show, it just plays forever and you make tons of money, I think.
Yeah, and she's been in a lot of other things. I've seen her.
Cheating is never right. I love you guys, but I do not understand how you are supporting it. Okay,
I just don't think it's that serious at a certain point in life.
No, I don't think cheating is never right is correct. Because when you're in a basketball game and the ball goes out off of you and you point the other way and you trick the ref, is that cheating? I guess that's not cheating though, right?
That's cheating.
Is that cheating?
Well, that's lying. Yeah, you're cheating. You know.
What about flopping in a basketball game? That could be considered cheating? No. I don't think those are cheating, I guess.
But you played it and you did it. That's why you don't think it's cheating.
Because if you're not doing it, you're just at a disadvantage.
But if it was done to you, would you have called him out and been like, hey, he's lying?
No.
You just let it happen?
Yeah, you gotta let it happen. You can't argue with the ref.
I just don't think cheating, I don't think high school and college, they matter a lot at the time. But in the grand scheme of things, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And if you and your friend are in an exam together and you're sharing answers, that's a bonding experience. I did that with my friends and we loved it. We talk about it till this day. We both did well on the exam. I don't know. We're not supporting crime.
Thinking back, it'd probably be better if I dedicated myself to school and just didn't cheat. Of course, that's the right thing.
Thinking back, we did we were lazy. We didn't do that well, and it worked out because now we're doing Murder, She Ate.
Yeah. I guess
But if I actually had to pursue my legal career, I would have probably wished I really learned all the cases and invested my time.
Yeah, I think most kids do cheat in high school, I'd say. I'd have to estimate 85% at least.
Yeah, and if you didn't, good for you.
I have been listening to this one philosophy podcast. It's called Philosophize This. And I think one thing on philosophy, someone says never lie. If you lie about anything, you're just cheapening your self-trust. And a lot of people, it gets to the point where they're like lying to themselves about how much food they eat, like
That's
about
true.
how much they weigh, about how hard they work. And you can just really definitely get into a cycle where you lie a lot to yourself.
Yeah. And if you're thinking like maybe cheating on a high school exam could lead to like cheating on your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or wife, then like yeah, that's also something to take into account.
Who in their right mind would want their doctor to have cheated their way through medical school? That is a good question.
I don't think but like honestly, if you think about it, like is your doctor writing a good exam really an indicator of how good of a doctor they are? No. Do they have a good bedside manner? Do they actually do research continuously throughout their career? There's so much more, like an exam shouldn't dictate, because I failed the bar, but like I would have been a damn better lawyer than I know a lot of people I went to law school with.
Why?
Because of my advocating skills, because I can present. A lot of people couldn't even present in front of a group of people, like they were scared to talk.
So there is the exam at all
my opinion.
at all professions that are like, you know, life and death type things, like doctors, lawyers. There's like a final exam, right? So I guess that's the fail safe of if you're cheating all the time, you wouldn't pass the exam. But yeah, this is when I knew I couldn't really be a good computer engineer, and I feel like a lot of doctors probably experience this too. There's a certain sect of people that like their fun thing is just to like come home and write code to like do new things, and that was never me. So I'm like, those guys always have the upper hand because they're doing what they love. Now I guess we're doing what we love. We make YouTube videos.
Mega, how is the baby? I think the baby's strong, going great, and we get to see the baby next week. I love going to the baby appointments because then I know you're there. We're like getting too deep into the cheating thing. No, the baby.
How many weeks pregnant are you? You're looking big now. Your belly's looking big.
18.
We got to do a belly update.
Belly update.
Who actually remembers what they learned in college? Yeah, you don't remember most of it.
A lot of people do, I would say, if you're in the career of your major.
Would you find it funny if your baby told you she cheats all the time? I would find that hilarious if my little baby said that.
My
like,
3-year-old's like, I'm a cheater. I'd be like, yes, you are.
So in that scenario, I'd crack up. But if you're saying like my 18-year-old kid said I cheat all the time, I would be like, why don't you just work harder and study more? Then you wouldn't need to cheat. Why don't you make it a game to be better than all the other kids in your class?
Well, I would say, what are you cheating on? Like, is it a class that really doesn't matter long term? Is it like art class? And you're writing, you know, like that to me, I'd be like, who cares? Honestly.
There's a lot of anti-cheaters in the building today. Oh, Miley's in front of the camera.
Miley's just trying to cut the tension with herself. How do you find a keto doctor? Actually,
I don't know.
I think Ryan, like, what is the ASPI.com, Ryan Lowry's site?
Yeah,
I
ASPI.
I think they have.
Do they have a directory or something?
Yeah, I think they have a directory you can find a keto doctor near you. I think it's maybe ASPI.com. I can look it up right
Dang,
now.
a lot of anti-cheaters.
I mean, it's easy to say you're an anti-cheater when you're not really like in a position to cheat anymore, right? I feel like you don't cheat on things unless you're in high school and college. What else is there to cheat on?
Yeah, what have I cheated on since high school and college? I guess not
Nothing.
much. Right?
We haven't like cheated on each other.
Taxes.
So yeah, don't cheat on your taxes. Be a proper citizen. Don't cheat on your relationship.
I mean, see, that's just a tactical cheat, though.
What I'm saying, like, is yeah, I think it's circumstantial if it's like that big of a deal or not. Whatever.
You're only cheating yourself.
What am I looking up? Oh.
You're condoning bad behavior, Mega. Yeah, we are, I guess.
We're also sharing our opinions, and we're
Where's Tiffany's
allowed
question?
to do that.
Someone said she likes Tiffany's question.
Wait,
Oh,
Tiffany, right down there. Did you go down?
wait, Tiffany?
Right there. Did you see my question on electrolytes?
See, now this is just a question search. Oh, no. Tiffany types a lot of questions here. I can't find the one you guys are talking
My
about.
internet's not working.
Oh, wait, that might be it. No.
I can't even look it up.
I'm in college and I don't cheat, someone says. It's good for you. You're
Yeah.
probably going to be a better, smarter person at the end of it.
Or you have a really easy major.
I'm in high school, I don't cheat.
Do you have good grades? Do you have straight? I'm kidding, guys. Like, relax. It's a Wednesday night. I just ate a big bowl of chili. You are relaxing, watching us. Like, life is so good. We're not here to fight. I can't.
Welcome to the real world, people. That's kind of my thought too, actually.
I agree. What is your position on electrolytes?
Pro.
Yeah.
I think at the start you definitely need to supplement them, but over time the need to supplement them diminishes quite a bit.
You have a better gauge on if you need them that day or not. Okay, Julius really has to go potty.
Okay.
And I'm getting nervous for him.
Hopefully your OBGYN didn't cheat on their exams. I don't really think it would have mattered.
I don't think I care that much if she cheated or not. If she told me she did, I'd be like, good for you. You're here now and you're delivering babies and you're doing a great job.
She hasn't really like added a ton of value
Yeah.
to where her cheating or not cheating would have really mattered much.
I'm also doing a lot of my own research, and Matt is doing research. So also, don't invest everything that you care about in doctors' hands. Do some research on your own.
I guess that's it, guys. We really talked a lot today.
Yeah, it was a long one, but we had fun. And did you like the heist? Like, should we change it up and not just do like disappearances and murders? If so, leave a comment below with other ones you think we should check out or what you think we should do aside from murders and disappearances.
See, cheating at words with friends, in my opinion, that's messed up. Because then it's just not even fun anymore.
That's true.
Okay.
Oh, he's really crying.
All right.
He's gotta go.
That's it. Julius has to go to the bathroom. See you guys. We'll be back
Bye.
next Wednesday and we'll also have a recipe tomorrow. But we'll be back next Wednesday with Murder She Ate.